Okay, so this video is going to be on the instructions for the stoichiometry murder mystery project. And you're going to be using what you've learned in the 3-step stoichiometry problems to figure out who the murderer is in these scenarios. So the wealthy businessman Bruce Rockefeller walked into his home last night to find his butler dead on the floor. Before Bruce could check the body, police stormed through the door and tackled him to the ground. Bruce was arrested immediately, but he insisted that he was innocent. Police also arrested 4 suspicious men just outside the mansion. Information about each suspect is listed below. So you're going to use your stoichiometry skills to identify the true murderer to the police. First suspect is Suave Steve. Suspect 1 was arrested just outside his mansion. He's already been in prison previously for nearly drowning somebody. When police entered the bathroom upstairs, they found a bathtub halfway full of water. Police think that the butler may have died in the bathtub by electrocution. Police found loose electrical wires in the water. Electricity could be used to split water into hydrogen and oxygen. Police believe that some of the water in the bathtub was broken down into hydrogen and oxygen using electricity. When they tested the amount of hydrogen gas in the bathroom, they found that unusual amount. They found 5,000 grams of hydrogen. So in order to murder someone in the bathtub, police said the suspect would need at least 50,000 grams of water. Was there enough water? Could Steve be the murderer? So it's giving you a clue there. It says police said that there's 5,000 grams of H2. Convert grams of hydrogen, that's grams of H2, into grams of water, which is H2O, and see if there's enough. So you're going to be going from grams of H2 to grams of H2O, starting off with 5,000 grams of H2, and you want to see how much water was produced to see if it was enough for him to be the murderer. All right, so we know that in stoichiometry, so far we've talked about 3 steps. So my first step, of course, is going to be to convert 5,000 grams into moles. And the way to do that is to divide it by the molar mass. So you take the molar mass of H2, 5,000 divided by that will give you the moles of H2. So then my second step, once I'm in moles, is going to be to go from moles of H2 to moles of H2O using the coefficients in the balanced equation. You know, the coefficient for H2 is 2, the coefficient for H2O is 2. It's a 2-2 ratio, which is the same thing as a 1-to-1. So how many ever moles of H2 reacts, that many moles of H2O you're going to get. And then that's the only step, that middle step is when you use these coefficients. And then my last step, once I found my moles of H2, is just going to be to convert moles of H2O to grams of H2O. I want to just multiply by the molar mass to get that. And the molar mass will be of just H2O, which is, when you add H2O up, molar mass is 18.02 grams per mole. And that will tell you if that man was the murderer or not. And then you go to suspect 2, it gives you some information about him. And since the police found 70 grams of NaCl in the room, to kill somebody with acid, you would need at least 60 grams of HCl. Is there enough salt to prove that I would kill the butler? So it's giving you another balanced equation there. He said he's found 70 grams. In this case, you're starting off with 70 grams of NaCl, and you're going to, with a 3-step stoichiometry problem, to grams of NaCl. Of course, your first step would be convert 70 grams of, you're going to actually grams of HCl. So first you would convert 70 grams of NaCl to moles, then go from moles of NaCl to moles of HCl using the balanced equation, and then last convert to grams of HCl. and if it's gonna be, was there enough once you figure that out, figure out if he's the murderer. And then you got these other two more, and it tells you exactly what to do in your clue. You read through this to figure out if this person was the murderer using stoichiometry, 3-step problem. And then the last one, One-Eyed Edward, you do the same thing. It's just another stoichiometry problem, a 3-step stoichiometry problem. You're going to figure out which one of these is the murderer. And then last, after you figure that out, you're going to come up with a murder report. It's going to require the following: a title, identification info, who he was, name, age, eye color. You can make up your own details if you want. A crime report explaining how the butler was killed by the murderer. Be creative and add your own details. Proof, include mathematical proof that the man you identify is actually the murderer. In other words, rewrite your stoichiometry equation and write a sentence to explain what it proves. And then you include a sketch, a simple sketch of the murder. It doesn't have to look like the drawing on your worksheet if you don't want it to. And you can do that on a blank sheet of paper, but also include this right here in the handout that you can use as your crime report. So you'll have today, and then you can finish this up in class tomorrow, but you're not going to have much time in class because we're going to be starting another project. So you want to get all this done and turned in as quickly as you can.